Hey guys, it's Core Ross and welcome to 6 News. Although this is old news, so this is not really a 6 News video, but I think I'll just call it a 6 News video anyway. So what I'm going to do here is review the Rainbow Six Siege developers on what they said we'd get for Year 5 and what we actually got. And I'm also reviewing myself because I'm going to go back and we're going to reference myself from the past to see how accurate I was about everything as well. And the video I'll be referencing back to is my reality check video, which I create every single time when we have the big reveal of the next year of content and the roadmap and all that. I do a basic kind of rundown of it all, reality checking it after the hype has died down to go like, this is when we probably going to get this stuff. This is maybe how it's going to work. So we'll see how I did as well, along with what the developers said we were actually going to get. Anyway, let's get started. The first clip here is about Tachanka's Rework. So in reality, it looks like this rework is quite far on. They showed actual gameplay. He's lost the turret, but gained the LMG as a primary. He's got a grenade launcher, which fires incendiary grenades now. It looks pretty sweet, and it looks like it's almost ready for release. But of course, it's not coming with Season 1. It's not in the test server, it's not been announced, and they didn't give any dates for it. I would assume the best bet is going to be Season 2. So the developers certainly delivered. They did give us a Tachanka rework, and it ended up pretty much being exactly what they showed off at the beginning of the year. But my guess for Season 2 was wrong, big time. We ended up getting Tachanka's rework at the end of Season 3, like literally the last few weeks. I would go as far as actually to say that really it turned up for Season 4. So way later than I originally predicted, but the developers certainly gave us what they said they would, and they never did give us a definitive date of release, so it wasn't like it was actually delayed or anything like that. And that leads us to the second clip, which is this. Now moving on, we have the proximity alarm. So this is something that was teased over a year ago by the developers in the Harry photo. It even had the same design back then, which is crazy. And of course, we actually have gameplay of it, so it looks like it's been kind of well developed and it's almost there. I think again this is probably something we'll see for Season 2, and that ended up being a correct prediction because of course the proximity alarm did show up in Season 2, so that was perfect, and it showed up just as developers said it would, and it matched the gameplay they showed us. But that wasn't the only gadget they promised. Secondary hard breaching gadget. So this will be a gadget for attackers that allowing them to actually breach reinforced walls and reinforced hatches. From the sounds of it, from the developers and what they said, you'll be able to use one of these to pop a reinforced hatch, or maybe a couple to pop in through a reinforced wall to make a hole you can actually get through. So it's quite interesting. The mechanics of this are pretty simple, but we didn't actually see gameplay of it, so we don't know how far along the development is at this point. I would assume that because we didn't see gameplay, that maybe it will take a little bit longer before we see it. So I would just like to say Season 3. I would love to see it for Season 2, and it's totally possible, but I think this might be a Season 3 gadget. Hey, I'm not doing too shabby here. Season 3 was the season where we got the secondary hard breach, and surprisingly it just fitted smoothly into the gameplay, just like the bulletproof camera did as well. I remember when the bulletproof camera was announced, everyone said this is going to make Valkyrie obsolete, which I later made a joke about in a video about the secondary hard breach, which people did not get at all, which is kind of usual. And yeah, this secondary hard breach really did fit into gameplay really well. I was actually quite surprised how smoothly it's just gone into gameplay without any issues. Anyway, next one. Now moving on to something completely different, we have the Ping 2.0 system. So this is going to be on test servers in the first half of Year 5, and it seems very interesting. The worry I have about this is it actually going to clutter up your UI? Because I quite like the Rainbow Six UI. It doesn't have too many things that get in the way. So what's going to happen when we have all these different gadgets just pinged everywhere? Is it going to get a little bit too cluttered and get in the way? But overall, I do like the idea of being able to communicate with my team without actually having to speak, which is great as well. And it also means if I put up this little symbol, it might mean that I don't forget about that, Capcan trap later on during the match, because it might still be pinged for me later. So that'll be really handy. So yeah, overall, this is interesting. They did specifically say that this is going to be the test server first half of Year 5. So that means either Season 1 or Season 2, it'll be in the test server, but it might not actually come until Season 3 or even Season 4. So I'd put probably Season 4 for the actual release date for this. So I was actually a bit pessimistic here for Ping 2.0. First of all, I thought it might be cluttering the UI. Didn't do that. Absolutely freaking perfect. And I also thought my best guess was Season 4. I did say Season 3, which is the season it came out in, but I really thought it would take at least till Season 4. But it didn't. We got it in Season 3, and it's been an amazing addition to the game. Probably one of the best features this year, in my opinion. On to the next feature. Next up, we have match replays. So they said specifically that this is going to be pre-alpha in the first half of Year 5 on the test servers.
You're going to be able to play a pre-alpha version in the test server during the first half of Year 5 too.
With an unknown release date. So could see on the test servers either Season 1 or 2. And then actual release date, I would actually say probably Season 4 or even Year 6 for this. They also specifically said that the camera views will be from all the players' perspectives plus the spectator cam. So no free camera. So the developers did deliver here. They got the match replay system on the test servers as they said they would, and they did not give a release date. I was hoping for Season 4, obviously when I made the video I mentioned that, but I'm not surprised that this is going to go into Year 6. Right now on the test server, it's still marked as alpha as a feature, but it is good. Like, it works perfectly as they said it would. It doesn't have the free cam and stuff, which I knew even back then, which is, unfortunate, but I can understand. And right now it works really well. I've been making a few different videos with it, and I've been enjoying playing around with it. And I've only had it crash in the latest build like maybe twice while doing quite a lot of playing around with it. So I do hope that it's, soon, maybe Year 6 Season 1, but who knows. Anyway, let's not make any more predictions. Let's move on to the next feature. So there's going to be one big event every season, just like we currently have with the Road to SI, with the April Fool's event, with the Showdown event. We're going to continue to see that, and it sounds like every single event will be different. But moving from that on to what we're getting new, which is the arcade playlist. So these are going to be, and they're going to be specifically, they said, weekend playlists where it'll be different stuff. And the first one is going to be Golden Gun. So this is going to be a weekend special. It's going to be a pop-up playlist, and sounds pretty cool. Hopefully there'll be quite a few of these per season. So arcade playlists ended up actually being a massive disappointment for me this year, because I had quite a lot of hope, as you can see from that video, thinking about maybe getting a weekend playlist quite often and maybe getting a few of these different events per kind of season. That did not end up actually happening. We got one per season, and unfortunately Golden Gun to me was the only good one. The attrition one was pretty bad, and overall they just weren't really captivating in any way. And like I say, they did not show up enough. Getting one per season was just nowhere near good enough. Even if they put Golden Gun on twice per season, I would have been happier than what we ended up actually getting. Now up next is map bans. So this is actually something a lot of people are surprisingly excited about. I've seen a lot of hype over this, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it will make the game better, but I'm not too fussed about it turning up pretty soon or anything like that. However, it seems like a simple enough feature, but they did say specifically that they're going to see this coming sometime in Year 5, so it didn't sound like it was anytime soon. So I'm going to say maybe Season 3, possibly Season 4. So I was relatively accurate here, although I remember when I was recording this, I was like 50-50 on Season 3 or 4, and that's like a 6-month period, so that's like half a year. So I can't give myself any bonus points for being inaccurate here. And this feature I wasn't excited about when I heard about it, and when it got released in the game, I also wasn't too excited about it. I do like having map ban. It does mean I can kind of do that comfort pick. But is that really a good thing? Like, I have basically not played the new Chalet because I've been mostly playing ranked, and everybody bans it. So it feels like I've not played it the entire season that it's been there for. So I don't know if I really like map bans. I don't know if it's a good pick, but also I do like that comfort pick. Don't know. So on to the next feature. Then we've got one of the biggest ones, the reputation system. Of course, development time for this one is huge. This will take a lot of time, a lot of testing, and it is going to be a very long time, I think, before we see this. And they didn't actually say any timing on this at all for release date. So more than likely, I would imagine the very end of Year 5 or maybe going into Year 6. So I think you could hear my voice there. I did not think this was coming for a very long time. and it kind of sounded like I was really leaning towards year 6 with this. That's what it obviously appears to be, because there is no reputation system in year 5, and I assume it will probably show up maybe at the tail end of year 6 if we are lucky. But certainly when we're reviewing the developers here, they did not overpromise, which is very good. So far they have given us everything they said they would give us, and of course they also give us more, which we'll touch on at the end of the video. It's the Rainbow Six Cup. So this will be an in-game event that you can kind of go into as a 5-man squad. You'll get put into a mini league that will be skill based, so I'll put a whole bunch of teams together and you'll be able to progress through it. So you can do this at copper level, silver, gold, whatever level you're at, which is pretty cool. And from the sounds of it, I think they're attempting to get this ready for the 6th Invitational 2021. So I think next year's Invitational, they're planning to have this going, and this would be perfect to go alongside like the Road to SI playlist, so that you can jump in and have an ultra competitive little playlist where you might only play a couple of games, but it'll feel like a totally different thing compared to ranked. So again, here the developers did not overpromise, and this is a year 6 feature, although I did think maybe it would come with the 6th Invitational 2021. Seeing as we've heard nothing about it, I really doubt that. But I want this feature so badly. Like, this just seems perfect and I would love it. So when this does show up, it's going to be a regular weekend. I mean, like, not just one weekend in a season. It'll actually be regular frequency, and it's going to be skill based. So like that example it shows there is all bronze players fighting against each other for a little cup at the end, which I presume would be some sort of special cosmetic or something you get for winning the little tournament. And it's basically a mini 6 Invitational in game that you can go play. And yeah, I think it'd be freaking amazing. So can't wait till that actually shows up sometime in year 6. Hopefully they will manage to bring it to us. Now let's take a look at what they said for future reworks.
You guys have gone and opened the floodgates now. You've changed Tachanka, so does that mean other reworks are on the table as well?
Yes, very much so. We really want to bring more reworks to the most problematic operators of Siege. I can't really get too specific right now, but we have other plans for year 6. And if you look regularly at the charts that we release that shows the most frustrating operators or the ones that are the least played, you can have a pretty good idea of who is next on our watch list.
So with the Tachanka rework, they said that there was going to be more reworks in the future. Now, of course, that was going to happen either way, whether Tachanka got reworked or not. But they do specifically say here year 6, and they said they'd be looking to rework problematic and frustration-based operators. We actually managed to get that in year 5. We got that with Echo. He got changed to not have invisible drones. He is considered to be a frustrating operator to play against. We of course got the change to Jaeger as well, and that was again to kind of reduce the frustration of the utility meta. So some of that is actually already turned up. Now, I don't know if I'd go as far as call them, reworks, so maybe that's the definition they're kind of splitting here, which might mean that the actual reworks he's talking about for year 6 are much bigger in scale to what we actually got in year 5. But anyway, year 6 is the future. In this video, we're talking about year 5 and reviewing the developers. So let's talk about the additional features that actually came into the game that wasn't mentioned in our roadmap or in the reveal at the start of this year that ended up actually being good or bad for the game. Let's start with Season 1 Void Edge. This season actually brought in attacker drone spawn points. This meant if you picked a position where you wanted your character to spawn, your drone would spawn there. A really simple feature, but I cannot imagine the game without it now. Like, I honestly cannot remember when it was random, because that was how it used to be, and it was a pain in the ass, and I can't believe it's been less than a year that we've had that feature, and that has been absolutely brilliant. Now, there's another great feature that came with Void Edge, and that was barricade debris stopped getting stuck in barricades, which was a problem for 4 freaking years, but finally got fixed at the start of year 5, and I haven't looked back since. It has been an absolutely awesome thing to happen. So another really, really good feature. Now, a downside that happened over year 5 was seasonal weapon skins. We used to get 3 seasonal skins with, for instance, Void Edge, But by the end of year 5, we were getting one seasonal weapon skin with a brand new season. That is disappointing, although I don't really care because I don't buy those seasonal weapon skins. But I do know that a lot of people do, so that was a major nerf for, just seasonal skins. Now, we also had some balancing for operators. Legion and Twitch were changed, so Twitch's drone only did a single damage and she had infinite shots, so that was kind of cool for her, but also she did less damage, so maybe that was a bad thing as well. And Legion took a significant nerf, which originally was actually put forward by Get Flanked when he was actually over at the Barcelona studios, where Legion's goo mines would no longer do the 10 initial damage and would only do the damage over time, and Legion would no longer have the HUD element that he could see through walls and stuff to see which mines were still up. He'd have to have line of sight and be close enough to actually see it. So significant nerfs for him overall, but I think that's worked out for both Legion and Twitch in the kind of long term. It hasn't been too bad for them. And then Season 2, which is of course Steel Wave, brought us a surprise rework to Amaru, and this meant she could, first of all, actually get her weapon up quicker when rappelling through windows, but also she could go up hatches without opening them, so she would just suddenly spring up through the hatch and became very, very scary. And I don't know if it's really been enough to boost her up, but certainly it was a good improvement. Another change that came with Season 2 was unified MMR. So instead of having regional ranks, which didn't really make sense to me, instead we got a unified rank, which meant if you went and played on a certain region, you would have the same rank there as your home region. So that was definitely a good change. A relatively small one, but definitely not to be overlooked. Then Shadow Legacy rolled in, and this ended up being the biggest season, I think, of the year, even though it was the first season with a single operator. And of course, it got all the features that we've already been over. So Ping 2.0, map ban, we got the replay system on the test server, we got the secondary hard breach, but we also got the reworked sites as well, which just revolutionized the sites. And I wouldn't have done this if I was the developers. So I think this is a brave choice that worked. Like, it really worked. And it's been one of the best changes this year. And I can't even imagine a game without it now. But also it brought in another feature, which was the reinforcement pool, so that every defender could put up the reinforcements either together or separately, which again was an absolutely brilliant change. And it also brought in the Thatcher changes, where they made it so his EMP didn't destroy anything anymore. So a big nerf for him, but again, that actually doesn't seem to have totally made him obsolete or anything, so it's not been too bad a change too. And then that leads us into Neon Dawn, and of course we got changes there, which again were not shown off at the year 5 reveal. So we got the Jaeger changes and Wamai changes, which kind of helped the utility method to be softened at least. And Hibana got her little rework as well to make her pellets fire at different numbers, which is great. We got the Echo no longer being invisible, and we got changes to running outside, so that it's a 1 second timer and a new kind of gauge for showing it off. Diffuser improvements were brought in too, and we also got changes to gadget interaction, which meant if you fire an explosive, say that ash charge, at a bulletproof camera, it will no longer bounce off, it will actually dig into it and blow up and destroy it, which is better than it bouncing off and potentially not blowing it up. So yeah, year 5 has certainly brought us a lot of features. We also got some good accessibility features, so we finally got some colorblind settings, not enough I think, but for sites we can now change colors, which is good. We also got hard of hearing stuff too, so the chat can be read out automatically to players that need it, and also the voice comms, so actually just talking to your teammates, that can get automatically transferred into text as well. So that kind of stuff's been an improvement I would not have expected to see as well. So yeah, overall, they've done a good job. I think if we're going to review the developers this year, they have done a really good job. They've brought everything in they said they would, although I would point out that they're always very vague with timings. Like, they never say we're going to have this for this season. It's usually like first half of this year, second half of this year, or sometime this year, or sometime next year, or it'll be on the test server this half of that year or this year. And, you know, it is very, very vague, but I understand why it's vague. They can't really say like 9 months down the line we're going to have this specific feature working. They have to kind of have a little bit of a leeway in it. So, you know, I get that, but it is a bit of a pain because a lot of people look back and they're thinking, wait a minute, shouldn't we have the replay system already? Even though they didn't actually give a release date for it. But of course, when you're thinking about a year 5 reveal, then you're thinking, oh, that must be coming in year 5, even though you forgot they said year 6. And of course, like I say, I'm surprised about the additional features they brought to the game, like the weapon sights and stuff like that, that I really didn't expect. And I would have imagined that would have been a year 6 thing at the earliest. So they've definitely met my expectations this year and also gone further. But there's also still things I'm missing, like crossplay, cross progression, things like that I would love to see. But overall, this year for the developers, I think they've done a really good job, and especially considering the whole freaking COVID thing, you know, just completely messing up work and, you know, just the entire process of doing your job is pretty tremendous. And hopefully this means that going into next year, once all this stuff has been sorted out, although it probably won't be till like halfway through, maybe this means, you know, the future is potentially bright for getting a lot of other features. And like I say, so far everything they've done has been pretty good. Like they haven't totally destroyed the game or done anything kind of thingy that really breaks it. I feel like it's going in a good direction, but you guys might feel completely different in the comments below. Let me know what you think of how year 5 has gone and the features that have been brought in. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.